Good
Hi
evening.
guys, we'll
Hi, sir.
start.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. We will start in another 2-3 minutes. So, okay, we'll give 2-3 minutes to these people. So the agenda for today will be, I think there are a few questions which we started discussing, so we have to complete those questions first. But those questions cannot be completed unless you know the concept of user story first. So we'll hit upon that concept first initially, and then we will move on to our questions and we will complete those. Okay, any queries before we start? I think we'll give 2-3 minutes to these people to join.
And sir, resume building this session was scheduled on Saturday, 3
Okay,
o'clock.
that is good, yeah. That
Yes.
is good. Finally, you have a session. Okay.
It will be on Saturday. I've done already.
Yeah, it will be on in coming
Yes.
Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start here. One second. I have to paste. Okay, I think we can start here.
Yes.
We have enough people now. Okay. So for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, we'll discuss what is a user story, because that is what you are going to be dealing with day in and day out. Okay. And you have to have a very clear understanding of what is a user story and three concepts: acceptance criteria, definition of done, and definition of ready. So user story, acceptance criteria, DOD, DOR. These are the four things that you really need to understand. Every requirement in the Scrum team comes in the form of a user story. That should be extremely clear to you guys. I will stay on. Just share the presentation so that you guys can. Yeah, why it is not? One sec, where is the? Why I can't share here? Okay, I think there is some problem. That's fine. I think you have that presentation already with you guys. So put it out. Where did that go here? One second. Okay, so the user story will be where is one sec. Can I one sec here? Give me one sec. I'll log in into this and then. Maybe I can copy paste it to your chat window. That will be easier method. And then I can, for some reason, this is not working. Okay, I'll just paste it here. What the? What is happening? One sec here. So the user story is in a particular format. That format is that also, let me put it. Why this sharing thing is not working for me today, for whatever reason. In fact, that app also is not working right. Okay, oh, that is the reason. So in the okay, this is what I'll try it one more time, otherwise, and then we can. It's working finally. Okay. You guys are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And it is in full mode, right? Or okay.
Yes, full mode.
So this is how a user story looks like, that you have already seen. So this is so every requirement will be in the form of a user story, and every user story will be in the form of this particular format. As a user, I want action so that any benefit happens. Let us see an example. As a user, I want to log in using my email and password. So as a user, I want to log in. Login is the action. Why I want to log in? So that I can securely access my account and order food. So as a user, from the point of view of a user, the requirement will be there. There will be some action, and then there will be some advantage of that action. Similarly, as a user, I want to use Google or Facebook to log in so that I can quickly access. So this is the typical format. Another example is, as a frequent online shopper, I want to save my payment details so that I can do a faster checkout process. So every requirement will be in this structure only. So it could be a technical story. As a developer, I want to improve the code so that the users can access the UI page faster. So, or I want to improve the database queries or tune the database queries so that it can work faster, whatever. So but requirement is always in the form of a user story. And those user stories will be written by product owners. They will introduce the story to the team and then have a discussion. But primarily, they are responsible for writing these in Jira. So, and it will always be in this structure. From the point of view of a user, some action, and what is the advantage of that action to the customer. So this is, so now let us take for an example. One sec here. This is good. Okay. So now, is the structure clear to all of you? How the user story looks like?
Yes.
You have an example in your chat window also.
Yes, sir.
Every user story in every product, the structure remains the same. Doesn't matter which domain it is, which project it is, what product, the structure remains the same. And the requirements have to be in this form only, because you are expressing requirements from the perspective of a user. Unless that happens, you are not customer centric. Agile is customer centric because you are defining requirements from the point of view of a user. So that is the explanation of what a user story is. Now, every user story needs to have an acceptance criteria. What the hell is acceptance criteria? That is your first problem. So acceptance criteria is the agreement between product owner, developers, and QA as to what they are going to build and what they are going to test. That is the practical explanation of a acceptance criteria. For example, this story, that as a user, so this is the story. As a user, I want to reset my password so that I can regain. I have taken a very simple example because this is very easy to understand. So as a user, I want to reset my password. Why? Because I want to regain the access to my account. So the structure is same. From the point of a user, some action, some advantage. Now, this is the requirement. But what is it that we are going to build? What is the scope of this story? The developers, the testers, the PO. These three people will sit together and finalize the scope of the story. So PO introduces a forgot password. First thing, so these are the business rules or the business functionality, what the customer is expecting from your product. So acceptance criteria is the working agreement or the agreement between PO, developers and tester as to what they are going to build and test. That is first. Second is these are the business rules. What is the business expects from that particular functionality? So the password reset functionality, what is it that the business wants from you? So business is represented by the product owner. Every team will have a product owner that will be the client to you. For developers and testers, who is the client? PO is the client. PO says we have to build the forgot password functionality. Okay. So what is it that we are going to build? He says forgot password link should be displayed on the login page. And then once you click on the link, reset password form should be there to enter the email. Then email has to be sent to the user with the reset link. Then the reset link allows the new password. Somebody says, so all of this discussion is going on. He introduces. Somebody asks, boss, what is the complexity? PO says 8 letter. Okay. Do we need 5 letters? Do we need alphanumeric number? Whatever that is, that scope is finalized. So it says 8 characters, including letters and numbers. Suppose if there is no acceptance criteria, developers write a story. After 10 days, PO says, boss, this is bullshit. We needed letters and numbers. Why are you only accepting letters? But that was never discussed. So there is a conflict between PO and developers now. Why? Because there is no acceptance criteria. You understood? If there is no acceptance criteria, there is every chance that there will be a conflict between PO, developers, QAs, and the stakeholders. After 10 days, PO says that he needed numbers also, but there was no official documentation to it. So you need that. If the acceptance criteria is there, and then PO says, boss, no, letters and numbers are not accepted. 8 letters are not accepted. Stakeholders want 15-letter passwords. Is it a fault of developers and QAs that they have built 8 characters? No. How can you say? Because PO boss, we discussed this is the scope of this requirement. So if the scope is clear, then the conflicts are largely reduced. After 3 days or after 4 days of working, PO says, no, boss, this 8 letter is no good. We need multi-factor authentication. Bullshit. We have wasted 4 days. So if the PO is frequently changing the acceptance criteria, then that's a big problem. He has to give you the requirement that he can hold his ground at least for 10 days. If that is not happening, then it is a problem. So acceptance criteria is the base on which this building will be built. So acceptance criteria is the agreement between PO, developers and testers that what they are going to build. Now, then after resetting the password, a user is directed to the login page with a confirmation. So PO gives this acceptance right. Tester says, but what if they put the wrong password for 5 times, 8 times, 10 times? What is it that QA has to check? Then you put one more acceptance criteria that if the user puts more than 3 times the password, then you lock his account. You add this acceptance criteria. So that discussion is what happens between the PO and the developers and QAs in the grooming call. In the grooming call or the backlog refinement call, there are different names to it. Refinement call, backlog grooming call, backlog grooming call, backlog refinement call. There are multiple names, but basically where the stories are finalized. And PO will share the screen like I'm sharing it with you guys. So PO will share his screen. He will put it in Jira and explain the requirement. After the explanation, maybe they say we need a SHA-2 or whatever is the security algorithm. Based on that, our password should be based on some security algorithm. Architect says, boss, that capability we don't have. So that technical feasibility is not there with us. Then what is the alternative? Then PO says, okay, I will accept an 8 letter for now. I will talk to the stakeholders. Maybe in the next update we do, when we do enhancement, we'll do that. So this sort of negotiation happens in the grooming call. Developers check whether each of these requirements, each of these acceptance criteria is technically feasible or not. Developers check whether it is technically feasible to do what the PO is asking. Testers see whether they can test this individually or not. Can you test this forgot password link? Can you test this? Can each of the acceptance criteria, can you build use cases? Can you build test data? Can you execute that? So whenever QA will do three things, they will create test cases, they will create test data, and they will execute those tests. Those are the three primary things that the QAs will do. They will check whether they can do all these things for each individual acceptance criteria. That is what is meant by testable. The user story should be testable. So QA are listening to the PO because they want to know whether each of these acceptance criteria are testable or not. Developers are looking at this. They are going to look at whether it is technically feasible of what these guys are asking. Will they be able to understand everything about it? No. 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%. So as the team goes more mature, they'll be able to understand more and more of the stories. But if you expect in sprint one, they will understand everything. No, eventually they will get better at these things, but initially they will not be very good with these things. But the competency will build. But ideally, a mature team is where you are able to understand at least 70, 80, 85% of the story. Doesn't matter what you do, you will still be, sometimes on complicated stories, you will miss out on few things. And that is fine. You are not God, you cannot get everything. So, yeah, I'll take the question now. My throat is bad. Yeah, Sudipta.
Yeah, hi. I just want to understand in the slide, in the acceptance criteria, you have given a flow. Like, I want this, then I click on this, then I will get something. So does the PO gives a complete flow of what the feature is going to be? Like that is what is the acceptance criteria, or he just gives in like dots or what in
No.
flow? Okay.
He gives the complete flow. A good PO will give you the flow. If the flow is not there, the clarity in requirement is not there, then no matter what you do, the team is going to struggle to deliver value.
Okay.
Because if there is a very famous saying in Agile, if it is not clear, don't build. Don't build if it's not clear. So if the requirement is not clear, then no matter what you do, customer will never be happy because he himself does not know what to do. Where do you want to go? Mountains, hills? I don't know. So especially, can I make my daughter happy ever? No. If you ask her, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Maybe coffee, maybe a cake. I don't know. So she's always confused. So if you're not clear with what is that you want, so basically what is it that the code should do that will make the business happy? This is the acceptance criteria. If they don't know what they want, then developers and testers can't deliver, isn't it? You have to tell me, I want to go to Goa. Okay. I want to remain in a secluded beach and read a book. Okay, that is my requirement. Now, if I put you in some fancy five-star where there is a disco and there is a lot of noise, I'll be never be happy. So you have to tell me, where do you want to go? What is your destination? So that destination is what PO has to define. So in this case, PO says user receives a reset link when they request. Reset link expires in 30 minutes. User must be able to do this, all these. And developers have to agree that all of this is possible. And testers also have to agree that all of these things are testable. So the Scrum Master's role in this is this discussion happens. That is the first thing. In the grooming call, this discussion has happened.
Yeah.
That is first. Secondly, developers agree to this, except suppose developers say, no, this 8-character password is not possible. We don't have that capability now. For whatever reason, there is no, we don't have that. Security guy will not give the approval. This 8 characters not allowed. It needs to be 15 characters or whatever is the technical compulsion there. Or the testers say, no, you have to give us exact detail on after reset, old password becomes invalid. So till old password becomes invalid, how much old? Can the user be allowed last use password is not allowed? Okay. Last 2 use passwords are not allowed. Last 3 use passwords are not allowed. What is it? That QA will ask. And then he will get a clarity. So the more clarity you get in these grooming calls, the more detailed your acceptance criteria is, the better your delivery will. That is the whole logic of it. Is this clear to all of you?
Yeah, thank you.
So user stories always come in the form of this format. The requirements will always come in the form of a user story. And each user story will have an acceptance criteria. And each user story will have a unique acceptance criteria because every requirement is different, correct? So every requirement is different. So every requirement will have a unique acceptance criteria. So this is one acceptance criteria. This is, okay, let me give you one more. These are simple ones, but in real life, you will get some complicated stories also. So this is another one. As a customer, I want to track my order so that I know when it will arrive. Customer can see real-time driver location on a map. Estimated delivery time updates every 2 minutes. Architect says this real-time API we don't have, which can do it in 2 minutes. Maybe in 3 minutes it is possible. If you do it in 2 minutes, it's going to put too much load. We don't have that hardware or some compulsion. Then PO says, okay, 3 minutes is fine, or he will check with the stakeholder. If 2 minutes is fine, some stakeholder says, not 2 minutes, forget 2 minutes. I want it in 1 minute. You should have that capability. Okay, then architect says, okay, let me talk to my team, his architect team. Maybe then they say we are able to do it, but we'll not be able to do it now. We need 10 days to get this infra done. So that is the how groomings happen. I'm just giving you an idea of groomings, how happen. So if a driver location cannot be fetched, a failback drive. So again, so somebody says, so this is the first level of discussion. Then the second level of discussion will also happen that we'll get into. But is this part clear? What is an acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria are the business rules that a particular functionality has to fulfill. And this is given to you only and only by the product owner. What does the business want from your code to do? Yes. Priyanka first.
Yeah. So if for example we have a particular user story, but some of the criteria which is there, we are not able to implement it in this current in the next sprint. So what happens to that user story? Like, do we go back to the same user story and update when we are
Okay,
allowed
no.
to
So
do
what
that?
you are saying is, out of these acceptance criteria, we said we can do it, but eventually when we started the sprint, then we realized, okay, one of those acceptance criteria we are not able to fulfill.
Yeah.
That's your question, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Okay. So in that case, what is the reason why we cannot fulfill? Is there a dependency on some other team? Or is there any technical challenge? Or it's just that we didn't have enough time to build it? There could be multiple reasons for it. Whatever are the reasons, you discuss it with the product owner and then rescope the story. Maybe team says it is not technically feasible, we cannot build it, and PO says, okay, let me talk to the stakeholders. He says, okay, this is fine, I spoke with it, this is not that important, I can reduce the scope. Or he can come back and say, no, this is important, we have to find a way. And then we rescope the story and we take it up in the next sprint, but we have to find a solution if the business does not accept it.
Okay. So we move the story to the next sprint if it is not.
We have to, because without which so in this case you are saying that we could not complete the story because that acceptance criteria was too large, or we couldn't find the technical solution for that. In those cases, yes, we have to move it if the PO says that it is required.
So we have to move the full story and not a part. Like, we can implement some part, then how do we?
We can, so there are, so if the story is not completed in its entirety, so all these 5 acceptance criteria need to be completed in order for the PO to accept that story. PO says, I need all 5 of them. If even 4 of them are done, then I'm not going to accept it. So, but in your case, what you are asking, in this case, we will move the entire story to the next sprint. That is the ideal agile way of doing it.
Okay. So
But
splitting.
in real time, some compromises are made. They may close the stories partially and create a new story, put the rest of the acceptance criteria in a new story and try to complete it. Not recommended, but teams do it, organizations do it. If you're stuck in that, you can do it. But ideal agile way of doing it is whatever is the original acceptance criteria and the PO needs it, then you complete the entire acceptance criteria. Partial completion is not accepted unless PO agrees to it. PO can say, okay, I'm fine with that, I don't need it, then it is fine. But if the business says you need all 5 of them, then you don't close the story, move it to the next sprint and complete it there.
Okay. And one more thing, sir, what is the difference between feature and a user story? Is it same thing we refer to?
Okay. So for the first, for a product, allowing users registration. So user registration is your feature. Now, in user registration, you will have, how will you allow users to register? Email and password. It could be through mobile phone. It could be through Face ID. Those could be the methods. So these are sub functionalities. Then resetting the password, login secure in a secured way. So these are again some of the sub functionalities of this feature. Each sub functionality is your user story. You cannot build the entire login functionality in one go. So you are breaking that entire feature into user stories. So user story is a small chunk of the entire feature. So feature gets divided into user stories. So for a login feature, you will have 5, 10, 15, 20 user stories. Similarly, let us say now in our application, we want to allow the users to pay for their food, which they have ordered. So that's your payment integration feature. So payment integration feature is payment integration is an entire feature, correct? Now, debit card, credit card, UPI, Bitcoin. These are sub functionalities. I can allow credit card first, then I can allow debit card, then I can allow cash on delivery, then I can allow Bitcoin, then I can allow UPI. So these are 5, 6, 7, 8 sub functionalities. So I've divided the feature into smaller chunks. So those each chunk will be my user story.
Okay, so then I like another confusion is also solved now, because I thought that the full feature has to go together, so that is little difficult, right? So
No,
one test
this is
case as well.
exactly how Agile works. You cannot deliver an entire feature in one go. You have to divide the feature into small pieces and deliver it incrementally and iteratively. This is incremental. You have divided the feature into 10 pieces and you are delivering 2 pieces in one sprint, something like that.
It's kind of test case, single test case. It is like that, a single user story.
Yes. But the bottom line is, what is an acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is the agreement between PO and the developers and the testers. What is the scope of a particular functionality? What are they going to build and what are they going to test? Each acceptance criteria should be technically feasible. Who decides it?
PO.
Each acceptance criteria
Development
should be
team and
technically
tester.
feasible. Who decides it?
Devs.
Developer and test.
PO should
PO.
decide acceptance,
PO.
right?
PO will decide it.
No, PO will give the acceptance criteria.
Developers
Is
and
that
testers.
correct? So PO says in your food delivery app, I need the user to be able to reset the password. I need that functionality. This is the requirement. Now, user should receive a reset link when they request a password reset. Reset link should expire in 30 minutes. All these rules he is setting. But whether I can code it or not, who will decide?
Devs.
Devs.
Developers and testers.
Is this clear? PO can say he needs this, but it is up to the developers and the architect to decide whether it is possible to do it or not. That is called a term called technical feasibility. The requirements, they can want anything, yaar. Elon Musk says, I want singularity, artificial super intelligence. Can we build it? Bullshit. We can't build it now. So whatever you want is a different thing. They can ask for the moon, whether we can deliver it or not, that's another situation, right? So this call is there to bridge this gap between what the business wants and what is actually feasible on the ground. And if there is no agreement, then these teams suffer. Client will always grumble, and developers will always be pinpointed. They will be blamed. Developers will blame the requirements by the PO. PO will blame that the developers are not good. All that toxic culture will develop if there is no clear acceptance criteria. Is this clear what developers are looking at? Is this also clear what testers are looking at? Testers are looking at each of these things and so in the interview, they will ask you, what is an acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is the agreement between PO, developers and QAs as to what is going to be built and what is going to be tested in that particular functionality. You as a Scrum Master sit with the team, PO introduces the story, and then a discussion on acceptance criteria happens. And then finally, based on that discussion, you finalize the scope of the story. Developers agree, okay, all 5 acceptance criteria are clear and they can build it. Testers say all 5 are clear and they can test it. That's it. That's your grooming. Done for that. Your scope of that story is finalized. Acceptance criteria is finalized. That is the first step of building a good, successful Scrum team. Is this clear? What is an acceptance criteria and what developers and testers see in this? Clear? Okay. Now, so what is it that the Scrum Master does? Scrum Master applies invest principle on these stories. They will ask you, do you know the technique called invest? Sometimes they will not ask you a specific technique. They will ask, As a Scrum Master, what techniques you know to improve the quality of requirements in your team. So the requirements come in the form of a user story. And user story, a high quality user story, is one which conforms to the principle of invest. What is that? We'll talk about it now. So every user story should be confirming to invest principle. What is it? First of invest is I. I is independent. Independent means, let us say, this I have to build this user, I have to log in using email and password. This is a requirement. Can I build this? No. I need an existing email server. If the existing email server is not there, then I will not be able to build it, isn't it? There are times when if you want to build feature X, you have a dependency on feature Y. Until feature Y is available, you cannot build feature X. So this is what you have to check first. Is there any dependency to build this? If there is a dependency, they ask you to build this story. Let us say they ask you to build a report feature, but that report feature depends on some other data which is going to be given by some other team which is not yet available. Your report will take input from some data. That input data is not available now. Can you build this report? No. So first thing is you have to check whether you have a dependency on some other item. If you have a dependency on some other item, build that first. If I have to build X, but X is dependent on Y, then I have to build Y first, no? Because if I build X, then the first day of your sprint in DSU, somebody will block that story. Sir, it is blocked. Why? I need data. And developers are more than happy to do this. So they will not raise this as a concern in the grooming call. They will stay quiet. Okay, let it be blocked there. Anyways, I'm just so this is one of the biggest steps as a Scrum Master, actions that you have to do. Make sure the story is independent. All the dependencies are identified in the grooming call itself. Can we build this story now? Can we start the coding now? People say, yes, there is no dependency, or whatever dependency is there. For example, in this case, we need an email server to be there. So architect says, yeah, email server is already there. So no problem, we can build this story. There is no problem. So the story should be independent, which means that there should not be no dependency. If the dependency is there, then you build that dependency first, then start the story. Is this clear? What do you mean by independent? Now, invest, INVEST. T is testable. Can somebody tell me what is T as testable means? I often ask this question in the interview and people give me very funny answers. So what does testable mean? If you say a user story is testable, what does it mean?
Definition of done. Definition of done.
What does it mean by saying, see, invest criteria is I is independent. The story should be independent. That is clear to you. T is testable. The story should be testable. What does it mean that a story should be testable?
Stable build or working software should be given to QA.
You know, I ask and people tell me user story should be testable. It means QA can test it. That I get it. But what does it mean, Baba?
Sir, actually, for example, like
for data,
the code
like
should
test
be
data
ready.
should be available.
You are
There
very
should be a possibility of testing that application, like possibility way to, like if it is, sorry, please carry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please carry.
If you user, for example, if you want to create a user, means at least the testing team has to be able to put multiple users and to test that one. There should be access for them to test that.
So basically, testable means that each and every acceptance criteria should be
Is
tested.
made. Okay.
Which means for each acceptance criteria, you can create use cases, you can create test data, you can execute those. Is this clear? A user story should be testable. Testable means each and every acceptance criteria should be testable, which means for each criteria, you can create test data, test designs, and you can execute it. This is what it means by testable user story. If you want, so a lot of times I ask, how did the interview go? Very good, yeah, very good. So what did they ask? They asked whether invest. So they asked, what do you mean by user story is testable? I told user story can be tested by QA. No, Baba, that it means each and every acceptance criteria is testable, which means that for each criteria, you can create test cases, test data, and execute that. Is this clear? That is what it means by Suganya. You look very confused. Sorry, is it?
No, no, no. I have a problem with my system, so I was like shaking
Okay.
it that way.
Okay. So is this clear to you? 100% they will ask you what is invest, and most people can't answer it properly. I is independent. Independent means that it does not have any dependency. If you have a dependency, you build that first, then come back to this. Or that user story goes in first. If it can be completed in 3-4 days, then you can take it up as the second item. But whatever it is, you discuss those dependencies first. It should be independent first. Then it should be testable. Then invest, IN. Negotiable means the product owner should not come with a preconceived notion. Product owner says, boss, reset link expires in 30 minutes. Team says this 30-minute time window is not possible. It is too long. So we can give it 20 minutes because there will be too much problem on our servers or blah, blah, blah. There is some technical issue. We can give it for 20 minutes. Then he should be able to accept it. What is technical feasibility? If he is rigid, then your user stories will not go through. Your development will be very slow. So negotiable means that the team, based on their technical feasibility assessment and their testability assessment, they should be able to negotiate this acceptance criteria. If you can't go with plan A, then plan B should also be there, plan C also be there. If PO is the one who is rigid, no, I want only this, then there is a problem. So you should be able to negotiate the scope of the story. Maybe they say, oh, completing these 5 acceptance criteria is very difficult. So we'll do 3 first, and then maybe last 2 we will do in the next sprint. So yeah, that kind of renegotiation can happen, and PO should not be rigid. So that is what it means by negotiable. So I'm giving you real-time examples as to how you can explain. If you are able to explain these things. Now, here is a candidate who's asked, what is invest? He's done a Google. Invest means independent, negotiable, estimatable, testable, blah, 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 and he reads 2-3 more lines. That will not work. You have to explain. Independence ka kya, what is the meaning of independent? What is the meaning of negotiable, testable? INV. V is valuable. Valuable means that PO, valuable means as an SM, I make sure PO explains the business value of a story. Why we are doing that story. What is the advantage to the customer? So let us say PO says that as a user, I want to change the background of my login page so that user can user can drive more satisfaction out of it. Bullshit. What will a background do? Maybe if he says for visually challenged folks, he wants to create a darker background, then it makes sense. So the important point in valuable is that the business value of the story is discussed with the team. Team is aware what is the business value, how that feature is going to be used by the customer, because that is what will bring them more ideas. They will be able to contribute more, because ultimately it is product development. So V means the business value of the story is explained by the user. If it is not valuable, it is not bringing any value, then it is better not to do it. So INVE. E means estimatable. Can anybody tell me what is estimatable based on what we have understood?
I can try.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, can that be built within the scope of our sprint? The story can be completed.
That is one of the things. Yes. Yes. Estimatable means in estimations we assess whether we can complete it within a
In
sprint
how
or
many
not.
days?
That is the second point of it. There is a primary logic to it. What is estimatable means?
So if team is understood how to size it, or I mean how to break it into story points or whatever, that is estimation.
Yeah, you are very close. Yes, but what is estimatable means? Hey, you are asking me to.
Assumptions?
You are asking me how much time, how much money, how much effort is going to take to go to Goa. No, you are asking me to go on a vacation and tell me how much money, how much effort, how much complexity there is. But you have to tell me where, destination. Goa, how many days, which hotel, what is the purpose? So basically, the scope of a story, if the scope of a story is finalized, only then it is estimatable, isn't it? If the scope itself is not clear, he is saying, I want the reset password functionality. That is fine. But in that functionality, what do you want? He says, I want this link to expire, this. These are the 5 things that I want. So estimatable means the scope of the story is finalized, which means there is a clear acceptance criteria. If the acceptance criteria is clear and agreed upon by the developers and the testers, then it becomes estimatable. Because if it is not clear that what are you going to build, how can you estimate it? People will come to you. You will think this is a joke, but people will come and top guys, very top guy, directors and all those big name people. They will get, oh, we have to build X report. Okay. Can you give me an estimate? Can you give me an estimate in like 15 minutes? How, boss? You explain me the. So until and unless the acceptance criteria is there, which is the scope of that story, how can you tell how well whether it will take 1 sprint, 2 sprints, 3 sprints, 4 sprints, how many developers? How do you know? And in real life, a lot of time people will come to you with a very vague requirement. Can you add AI functionality? Can we include ML here? ML? ML is fine, but which model, what details? Give me some. Let's talk about the acceptance criteria. So if the acceptance criteria is there and it is agreed upon, only then you can say the story is estimatable. Is this clear? That is what is meant by estimatable. Estimatable means people have agreed upon the acceptance criteria. So let us say out of these 5 things, I only agree upon first 3 items. Then the estimation will be different. If I agree upon 5 things, then the estimation will be different. If I agree upon 4 more items, there is 9 points in the acceptance criteria, then the estimation will be very different, isn't it? So it depends on the scope of the story. If the scope is clear, then you can say it is estimatable. It means as a Scrum Master, once acceptance criteria is clear, then only you say, team, please estimate it. Clear? I is independent, which means you check whether there is any dependency of that user story on any other item. If the dependency is there, you sort it out first. Then negotiable. Negotiable means that PO does not have a rigid mindset. If whatever is not technically feasible, he can remove it. He can give plan B. If whatever is not testable, he can give something else to work on. Then estimable means acceptance criteria is clear. Testable means that each and every acceptance criteria can be test cases can be created, test data can be created by the QA team. Okay. Then S, the only one is left is S. S is small. Small means the story is small enough to be completed in that sprint. If the story is large, it cannot be completed in a sprint, then you will split it up. You will break the story. So instead of doing, so let us say this is too large a story. So maybe we will remove some acceptance criteria, or maybe we'll remove some functionality. We'll build mini functionality first, then we'll build something else. So S is small. Small means story is small enough to be completed within 10 days or 20 days, whatever is your sprint length. So this is what is meant by invest. Don't fly high. You have to be very good with the basics. If basics are good, no problem. People are not even able to explain invest properly in the interviews. So invest, I is independent, N is negotiable, E is estimatable, S is small, T is testable. This is the principle you apply on each and every user story in order to improve the quality of the user stories. And a high quality user story makes sure that you deliver, you are a high performing Scrum team, they are a high delivery team, because your stories will not be blocked because they are already, dependencies are sorted out, estimations are done properly, QA has already assessed whether it is testable or not. All that discussion is already done. So you will not get into major issues when you start the story. Is this clear? So as a Scrum Master, you introduce the invest principle to the Scrum team and make sure that they understand it and they apply it on the user stories, and each story which is picked is in confirmation with this principle. Now, in real life, will you be able to do it? Not in the initial sprint. Now you are a rookie Scrum Master, you say apply invest. Ab invest apply kar diya, it turns out no story is ready. So what are you going to do in the sprint? So you have to relax a little bit. But by the time 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th sprint arrives, ultimately, as the team starts getting mature, most of your stories should be confirming to invest criteria. But don't expect that in the first few sprints. It takes time for the people to build that. But you should say that if the dependencies are not sorted out, if it is not small, because team will struggle to, if it's the first sprint, they may not know it is small enough to be completed in a sprint or not. Maybe they will pick up a big item, and at the end of the sprint they will realize, oh, this was big, we didn't take into consideration that it has 3 layers, UI, Java, DB, and it needs integration also, and integration takes a lot of time. Okay, in the next sprint, if a story comes where there is a lot of integration, they may take extra time to accommodate that kind of thing. So they will build these skills as they mature. So this is all on invest. I think I wanted to cover something. See, unless you understand what is a user story, what is an acceptance criteria, and what is invest, you will not be able to understand the other concepts in Agile. So this is the very basic concept of Agile. What is a user story? Every requirement comes in the form of a user story. So now, in which format it is?
Written format.
Written. Who creates the user stories?
PO.
PO and BA.
PO or BA. BA is, in some companies they call it BA, but in proper Agile way we call it product owner. Product owner writes these stories. He writes them in Jira, and then he introduces to the team in the green room. And as a Scrum Master, you are supposed to deliver these stories to the team. So you will be judged. Let us say your target is 10 stories. and you are able to complete 6, 7 out of them. Very good. If you are able, 2 stories are completed out of 10 stories, that's your problem. As a Scrum Master, you have to deal with that. Of course, entire team is responsible, but most of the companies, if the delivery is not very high, that's the problem. Okay, yeah, somebody
Yeah,
asking. Yes, yes, yes.
sir, I am getting confused with one thing. User story. Every feature is will come requirement will come in the form of user story. Every user story will have certain acceptance criteria. Like this needs to be met so that the user story is complete. Now, this invest principle, are we applying on all the acceptance criteria or just overall on the user story?
Overall on the story.
Okay, okay.
For each story, the story needs to be independent. The story needs to be estimatable. The story
Okay.
needs to be testable. The story needs to be small enough to be completed in a sprint.
Complete. Okay, now got it. Okay. Along with the along with the acceptance criteria, whatever it has, like.
So every user story needs to have an acceptance criteria.
Okay, now got it.
Is that clear?
Hmm.
Why? Because that is the scope of that requirement. If the scope is not clear, then you will have conflicts in the team.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
You will have conflicts in the team. The stakeholders will raise an issue. The testers will not be able to complete. Most popular reason of not completing the targets or not completing your delivery items is because acceptance criteria is not finalized. Third day, chupke se, PO will come and add something. Then 7th day, he realizes, oh, I forgot this. Oh, you have to do this also. So if the acceptance criteria gets changed ever so often, I'm on 8th day of the sprint, PO will come, oh, can you do this, please? Can you add this also? Poor guy developer says, okay, let me do it. He does that. Obviously, testing he will not be able to complete it, or he quickly does that, skips unit testing, quickly gives it to QA skips few things, and then they will say, oh, the user story was not very good, stakeholders didn't like it, there is a problem. But nobody will look into the fact the PO added few things in the acceptance criteria. So that should not happen. That's a big red flag. It can happen for one odd story here and there, but if he is doing that for most stories and in every sprint, then there is a clear problem with the practices of what PO is doing. So how we will find these information through Jira, scope creep, and all those things, that also we'll talk. But this is just the basic idea of user story, acceptance criteria, and invest principle. Is this clear to all of you? I'll cover one more here, one more concept. Otherwise, okay. Okay, let me give you an example of this. So what is the acceptance criteria? Now you guys can tell me, right? If somebody
Working agreement between the
The
PO.
scope that is agreed between the PO, the developers, and the testers.
Beautiful. Working agreement between the three parties as to what they are going to build and what they are going to test. The scope of a particular requirement. Very good. Now there is a user story. As a user, I want to log in with my email and password so that I can access my account, and there is a acceptance criteria. Now I started working on it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day. Let us say I completed on day 7. Testing is also completed. Can I close this user story now? Okay. Now, before closing a story, there has to be certain checks done in order to ensure the quality of the story is good or bad. So if you want a really good quality, you can have multiple checks on it. If you want to deliver faster, so acceptance criteria is fulfilled. So let us say all the acceptance criteria is fulfilled. That's enough for me. I don't want any other crap. I want a very fast delivery. I don't care bugs are there. I don't care it was unit tested. I don't care about any other thing. I want a very fast delivery. So I will say, okay, business needs these things, acceptance criteria is met, fine, I'm good with it. But the quality will not be very high. It will be a not so good quality product because we haven't put in any gates to it. Now, management complains, but quality of your software is not good. Okay, then I say, okay, let me do a code review on this. So on the dev box itself, I tell developer that before giving you to the tester, you do a testing yourself. You do a code review and then you do a unit testing. So if code review is done and unit testing is done, you are making sure the developer is checking his code properly and the quality of the product is good. Your bugs will be less. So I introduce those things. I can only close the story if code review is done and unit testing is done. Then I say QA will raise bugs, but if there are critical bugs, so bugs can be of 3 types on a basic level. Critical bugs, medium priority bugs, or low priority bugs. Critical is it is breaking the functionality. In this case, they checked user is never receiving the password link only. It's critical, right? If I am not even able to receive a link, then the functionality is not working. QA tested it, they found out that user is not even getting the link. They created fake users and out of 5 users, 3 users didn't get this link. So your functionality is not working. They raise a critical bug. You have to fix it. So then I add another criteria, boss, critical bugs should not be there. So if the critical bugs is not there, then the quality of your product is obviously better. If I am, so I want even higher quality. I say bloody you fix low priority or medium priority bugs also. No bug should be there because I want extreme high end product. So basically my point is DOD, if you say what is DOD, it is definition of done. It is a checklist that we see before closing out a story. But that is just an explanation of it. What it really means is it is a mechanism to control the quality of the software. When you tell this, only then you will be able to clear Fortune 200 interviews. बेइज्जती नहीं कराना मेरी, ढंग के इंटरव्यू क्लियर करना. I mean, what is the point यार? आड़े तिरछे इंटरव्यू तो वैसे ही क्लियर हो जाते हैं. So now, and the other objective, see, I have a personal agenda on this. If you guys go and deliver well as Scrum Masters, only then the market of Agile increases and my business increases. If people go and fail as Scrum Masters, then Agile is blamed and my market squeeze. So I want to expand my market. So if you guys deliver, then only people will think, yeah, we need more and more Scrum Masters and Agile. That's how I grow my business. So DoD is the mechanism through which you control the quality of the software in your teams. They will ask you, how do you control the quality of the software that your teams are dishing out? Through DoD. The more checks in DoD, higher the quality. If you want a faster delivery, you have a very less number of checklists there. You only check whether acceptance criteria is done or not. Fine, then you can have a faster delivery. But the quality will not be good. If you want quality, then you put code review should be done, unit testing should be done, no critical bug should be there, and it should be deployed to whatever environment you want, and there should be a proper documentation. So this is the bare minimum definition of done. So definition of done applies to all the stories. As a Scrum Master, you are supposed to introduce the concept of DoD to your Scrum team. They cannot close the story just like that. If they want to close the story, then they should put code review was done, unit testing was done, there are no critical bugs, PO reviewed the story, documentation was done, and so forth. There could be multiple. There is Sonar Cloud option. There are a hell lot of options that we'll discuss later. But they will ask you what sort of DoD you follow in your team. So you should know 5, 6, 7 basic things. What is the difference between DoD and acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is given by the
Scope.
PO.
There is a scope that is given by the PO.
Yeah. Whereas definition of done is a checklist which is decided by the entire team based on what is the requirement, how much quality they want. If the client wants a very high quality product, you add more and more checklist. If they want reasonable quality but a faster delivery, so you can reduce the checklist. But this is basic: unit testing, code review, no critical bugs, PO review, documentation. These are like 4 or 5 basic things that every team should have. Very basics. If you're not able to maintain this much quality, and most teams struggle to maintain this much quality also, that is also there. But good organization, good teams, they will have some sort of good checklist. So DOD is a checklist which you will introduce to the team, but the team eventually will decide what do they want to put as a part of this checklist. So now you guys can ask me questions on DOD and acceptance criteria. Yeah, Abhilasha.
No, I got my answer. Difference between SA and DOD. Thank you.
What is the scope of acceptance criteria? It is specific to each story. Whereas DOD is a journal guideline. All the stories need, it's not like in one story you will keep bugs open, in the other story you will not let, critical bugs should not be there in any of your stories. It is a journal guideline for all the stories. Documentation should be there for all the stories. So this DOD is there for all the stories, not for any specific story.
Yeah. One more thing. Can we say invest principle is used to assess the quality of the each user story?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Correct. Quality
Sir,
of the requirement is assessed by invest. Quality of the software is assessed by definition of done. How do you control the quality of the software? By DOD. How do you control the quality of the requirements given? Invest. This is the understanding you need to have. याद करके बोलने से नौकरी नहीं मिलेगी अच्छी. याद भी, if you remember these things and utter out, you will still get a job. Don't worry. But you will not get a super job. Super job, you need to have that understanding. So my aim is that you should try for the best. If you don't get it, then you can settle for lesser companies also.
Sir, in acceptance criteria, there are 5 points what we have discussed. Okay, in that maybe one point is so big like that it is saying that if driver location cannot be fetched back, maybe in API requirements and that. So that is having a vast number of tasks to be done that cannot be easily estimatable and cannot be done.
Correct.
So that can be subdivided in the same acceptance criteria,
then you have to negotiate with the PO. PO's boss, this particular acceptance criteria will not be able to do. Is it okay? Can we do it in the next sprint? Or something like that. PO says okay. Or maybe you can put it in another story, and then maybe somebody else works on it if he needs it now.
So if, sir, one more question, sir. If a big feature is there, maybe this kind of a thing, then it is called as a epic.
Yes, typically in some Jira configurations, a feature is called as an epic.
Okay.
But you could have a configuration where they call it feature only. Then feature is divided into sub features, which they call epic. Then sub features are divided into stories. That configuration is also possible. But the most simpler configuration is feature is epic, and then epic is divided into stories.
And stories can be subdivided into user stories again?
No, no, no.
No, no.
Stories can be divided into subtasks.
Subtasks. Okay. So
how to do that we'll discuss.
Okay.
That
So acceptance criteria is not limited to something. It can be anything.
Acceptance criteria could be, he could ask 20 things in this functionality. He could ask 30 things in the functionality.
That will be decided by the PO. And
that will be decided by what the business user needs.
Business users needs. Okay.
As a user, I want to eat biryani so that I can quench my hunger. Now, what biryani? You can boil rice and put some peas in it, call it biryani. You can People make biryani for bloody days. So it depends on the organization, what requirement it is.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, this DOD criteria on which stage actually? It is on UAT environment or before production move?
Okay. So you are in the dev box. Now you want to move the story to SIT. So there has to be a DOD for developers that do the unit testing, do the code review, put the documentation. So that is your DOD at the developer level. Then once you reach in SIT, then you could put it on the QAs also. So 3 are done, then no critical bugs should be there. All the acceptance criteria should be met. That is additional 2 points for QA. Then you go to the PO. PO review should be done. So at SIT to UAT movement, you say these 2 points should be there. Once it moves to UAT, you say PO review should be done, all the business cases should be passed. Then you add an additional point. So once all these 6 points are done, then you can move the story to UAT to production. So at the dev box, dev to SIT, out of these 6 points, 3 points are done. Then SIT to UAT, another 2 points. Then SIT to production, another 2 points. It could be 4 points, 3 points, whatever. So you can apply DOD to dev to SIT, SIT to UAT, UAT to production. It is up to you to use it howsoever you want. You got it, right? Yeah. In cases where it's not, but if it is a proper Scrum team, then you could apply it in a different way. But typically in real life, this is what you do. Dev to SIT, you would put something. SIT to next environment, you will put something like that. Yes, Mohammed sir.
So in interview, how might they ask this question? So they
See,
will ask us the practical points
the
which we cover.
interview, they will ask you, how do you assess the quality of your stories? So how do you get the requirements in the form of user stories? How do you assess the quality of the requirements? By using invest principle. Or they may directly ask you, do you know what is invest principle? Then you can explain. But whenever you are explaining, you have to explain with examples. Okay. Then what is acceptance criteria? Or they can ask you an indirect question where they need to understand that you have a understanding of what is an acceptance criteria. You sit with the team and define the acceptance criteria. They may ask indirect questions also to assess whether you have this understanding of what is an acceptance criteria.
So in DOD, usually what kind of points will be there? What
A
kind of
in
criteria?
DOD, so again, DOD, typical DOD would be code review is done, unit testing is done, QA testing is done, POA review is done, documentation is done. These are 4 or 5 basic points. Now you can add it also. You can say peer review is done, tech lead review is done, LLD is added to the your user story, a lower level design and approved by architect. A UX design is also added to the user story. Then all functional testing, functional testing is done, but you tell how many test cases were executed, how many passed, how many failed. What is the testing strategy? You add that also. You add a sonar, some quality check on the software too in the dev stage. Then a PO review should be done. A demo should be completed with the PO before signing of a story. You can add 1500 things to it here. And again, some of the times the organization will have a standard DOD. That also is possible. Organization says your agile coach, or at an organization level, they say, okay, this is the bare minimum DOD that you have to do. Then you can customize it for your team. But these are the 5 basic points we want for every story. You can add also, but these are the, so at an organization level, they could tell you, okay, this is the DOD we want. And then at team level, you can add to it.
Okay. And PO is not involved in this, the preparing
PO
the.
is PO is the one who decides what sort of quality. PO has a say. He says no. If you are not, if there is, if this is too buggy, my customers are going to reject the product. This is a healthcare product. There are very strict guidelines. Even if we miss 1% of anything, we are going to be penalized. It's a banking domain. You cannot, suppose there is a bug which exposes customer data, you are done, you're doomed. So it depends on the domain. So PO tells you that information, boss, this is the quality I want. So you want a very high quality? Okay. Then tech leads will suggest, architect will suggest, QAs will suggest, everybody will pitch in, and then you will come up with a agreement. Okay, these are the things we will do. You got it, right?
Yeah,
DOD is decided by the entire team, and inputs are given by everybody, and then they finalize one agreement. Okay, this is what we are going to do to close a story. So DOD is an instrument which we use to control the quality of software that you are producing. If you want a very high quality, you will put more and more checkpoints. If you want a faster delivery, you will reduce the DOD. Is this clear?
Yeah. And one more query. This is related to the refinement call. So before going to the refinement call with the PO and all, do we discuss internally before going to that call to understand?
No, see, SM, it depends on how much interest you want to take, but SM's main role is that this call happens. That is first. Secondly, PO introduces the story. Thirdly, SM, PO developers and QAs discuss these things. Then they agree upon an acceptance criteria. Then an invest criteria is applied to these stories. So, and there are other things also, but he has to make sure all these things are happening and everybody is heard. So let us say they are not, if some junior guy is asking a question, PO is not answering, or some senior guys, oh, I know this requirement, I will do this. He's not even letting that discuss it with the team. Somebody is dominating it too much. His role is more on the cultural side, that everybody is heard, the criteria is finalized, that discussion happens, the business value is discussed, the technical feasibility is discussed, architect is there giving his inputs or not. You got this right.
Yeah. And the DOD is discussed and agreed upon
DOD
the
is also
same call.
discussed. No, DOD is discussed. Other DOD is you can discuss it in grooming call also. But so you will have a set of DOD. So you will say, okay, these are the things we are going to follow to close the stories. Then maybe the quality is not that high. The stakeholders are complaining. Then you will maybe add more checks to it. So it is a dynamic list. It keeps on changing. After you can reassess DOD at the end of in the retrospective if there are issues.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not a permanent list. Okay, this is DOD and this will be there for the lifetime of that product. No, if there are issues, you could change it. If it is going fine, then maybe you could lessen it, something like that. Suganya ma'am.
My question was, I think, so regarding the stakeholder would also be involved in getting around the acceptance criteria and all, if at all that decision.
PO will have a discussion with the stakeholders and they will have a say, but final authority on giving the acceptance criteria is with the PO. That is how you empower the PO. If there is no one central authority, then developers will struggle to finalize the scope of the story. Somebody pings, oh, can you do this also? Somebody else pings, okay, can you do this also? You keep adding the acceptance criteria, you are diluting the scope of it, and then the delivery timelines will suffer. So that is why you should only have one and only one PO who is the central authority. Stakeholders can give suggestions. That's fine.
Okay.
Everybody can give suggestions, but the final authority of including something or excluding lies only with the PO. So nobody else can edit the story except PO on the acceptance criteria. QA says, I want to test this also. I will add it. I will add one more acceptance criteria. Bullshit. You can suggest. 100% you can suggest. But only PO can decide what is the final acceptance criteria. Because otherwise, if you don't define the scope, there is chaos. And
Okay.
most times there is chaos because they don't let the acceptance criteria be stable. They will have multiple people acting as POs. PO himself will not have a very powerful say in the product. There will be, see, too many cooks. If there are 10 people who are going to give you direction, where will you go? It's like me driving car. My mother says go left, my wife says go right, my daughter says stay here. Arey, what will I do? So you get the point. It has to be one central authority. Suggestions everybody can give. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so acceptance criteria, DOD, user story, invest. Those are the basic concepts that we discuss. If this is clear, you are well on your way to clear your interviews. If these concepts are not clear, then don't worry. We'll in the next 1 month we'll discuss this multiple times. But these are like basics of Agile. Can we wind up for today? Are you guys good? I think most of you asked questions, so I think you guys must be comfortable. Rupa, you are comfortable. You didn't had any questions, so you are clear with.
Yeah, it's clear.
Good. And you guys went through the previous sessions also, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tomorrow we'll get into more into. Now I'll get into more into questions and answers. What you will get in the interview for these events. Then we'll move on to grooming further. But these were the basics without which you would have struggled to answer the questions properly on events. Okay. So let me send you a quick poll. Thank you. Have a nice. And then what is this now? Why are they changing it? One sec here. What? Okay. Okay, I've launched this thing, so you can. Okay. Okay, take care. Bye
Thank you, sir.
bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Bye. Good night. Thank you.